You saw the first video, 35 seconds long from today, and you were sober. What do you think of my behavior?
It seemed normal to me.
How long have you known me?
Like 2 years.
And where are we?
We're at Loud Nelson Park in Santa Cruz, California.
All right. Oh, before I stop, you saw that Mexican place that was across the street from the MMA place? Oh, look across the street over there. See those guys moving their hands?
Yes.
That's Tai Chi.
Oh, that's cool. Look.
Okay, across the park in the orange shirt, ironically, a little bit to the right of that cross. You see that cross? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting how that cross is made. You think that's an accident or it's supposed to symbolize Christianity suddenly? I don't know. Anyway, there was this old guys. They stopped doing Tai Chi now. One is a white guy with long hair. Or they know they're still doing something similar to Tai Chi at the park. Okay? So you know that martial arts is pretty popular here. Would you say that's true?
Yes.
In Capitola, I believe I saw the jiu-jitsu place, or was that Santa Cruz? And then I saw this place. Where was that Mexican place we're at? What street was that?
That was along Branciforte.
Okay.
But going the opposite direction. So
all right. So
South Branciforte.
That was another martial arts place. Did you notice it was smaller? Like it was a small building?
Yeah.
Does that imply that tall guys like me do it?
I would think that anybody
Basically, let me tell you, put you up on game. When you see a small building like that, it means that it is made for shorter people. Okay, you're not going to get imagine 20 guys like me trying to fit in that and do martial arts at the same time. So it's fair to say that they had smaller people in mind, right?
Yeah.
In the longer video that you just saw where I talked about gentrification, and you saw my behavior. I was a little bit irritated at the end, which you can understand. I'd assume. What do you think of my behavior and my presentation?
I think it's pretty clear cut, straight right and to the point, and I can see how it would be frustrating because not many people know that information.
So you saw video 3. It was called Mindfuck Stories from White Supremacists and Jews. Okay, so as we're here at Westcliff in Santa Cruz, what do you think of my behavior in the video?
I think it doesn't seem out of the normal for me.
All right, so it's not abnormal. Now, when you look at the ocean, do you feel differently right now than when you're driving?
Yes, I feel calmer.
All right, imagine being in an environment surrounded by a bunch of white racists who are gang stalking you and putting things on the wall that the police are playing stupid about. Right in front of them, they're asking me to take their medicine while there's a drawing, a very obvious drawing, in typical prison gang manner that just depicts a black guy being punched by some kind of demon, which is typical prison symbolism. For example, if somebody, went to Michigan, U of M or whatever one the Wolverines is, right? And there was Wolverine fans all around you, and they made a picture of a Wolverine punching a black guy. Is it obvious what it's about?
Yes.
For the same reason when they made the demon, it was obvious that white Satanists, organized criminal Satanists and criminal gangs had put that symbol there, like the Hells Angels and other groups that have taken on demonic kind of, characteristics and names. All right, so when you saw my mom acting, the way she was when she called the cops, do you think it was fair for her to call the cops on me on suspicion that I might be drinking and driving?
No.
How about the cops' explanation that they just happened to be in the neighborhood and they start calling it welfare check? We're doing a welfare check. You see how that's a play on words, right?
Yeah, well, it seems like to me they didn't want to make it obvious.
There's a lot of wordplay that's taking shots at black people because long ago, whites were like these little stubby little people, no offense to white people, who couldn't compete with us, okay? No one could. It was like a bunch of Kimbo Slices, then there was a Mr. Miyagi, and then there was, Bill Gates and Adam Sandler and so on, okay? So how do you think those other guys felt? Mr. Miyagi had to say, look, wax on, wax off, and try to do his presentation thing because he knows he's going to go. He's a knockout KO, guy from YouTube, right? It's like, I'm going to tell you something else, though. What do you think about a guy who goes from city to city being harassed right in the area of martial arts places, right, where they're covertly drugging him? Did you ever see the video I have of somebody testing my food and saying it was drugged? saw one? This is speak up because you know.
Yes.
All right. So I have a witness, and right now, am I saying my food's drugged? No.
No.
Right? And you don't think it's drugged either.
No.
So you see how there's a consensus every time, So they think people are. So listen to what they expect people to believe. They think presentation means more. Imagine some Asian guy dressed all cool, making a bunch of moves, doing a bunch of moves, saying, "Look, I could beat Kimbo." Hi-ya-ha. They're that guy. They're that guy who watched the Bruce Lee movie, got drunk, and did a few little moves and said, "I can beat Chuko Mecca." When I have over 100 victories, no losses, up to $100,000 challenge. $100,000 for less than 5 minutes sparring in the park. You won't even get a bruise if you can beat me. Why would they avoid? You get $50 to show. Okay? And they expect you to believe that one of them is better and that they were the rulers of Egypt and the civilizers of the world. They couldn't hold down an empire. That's why every empire was started by big black guys. No one else could hold down the empire. Can you kind of picture that?
Yeah.
So it's kind of funny that what they expect you to believe, and they expect you to believe that the two aren't related, and that they're not doing eugenics, which is the corporate direction of humanity, and genetic engineering to make white people look good. These people who let millions and millions of people die every year just to look good, expect you to believe that they wouldn't dream of doing genetic engineering, even though right there on Google it says that the Nazis perverted eugenics, not that playing God and having the corporate elite direct mankind with their think tanks and Ivy League schools is wrong. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The difference between the light of Judah, Jah, or Yahweh, Jehovah, Yah, I don't know what to call myself, but I'm speaking to the one true God. His light, and the light is artificial. Well, it's kind of like a sunlight versus a program that imitates sunlight on a computer, using the computer screen. So, ma'am, would you mind telling me, or rather miss, which one would you prefer to watch a sunlight in person? On a cliff or something, or in a perfect location, or the artificial one on a computer?
No, I want to see it on a cliff, in real life.
So, when I showed you about the Battle of Kadesh, where 100,000 Hittites, approximately, were routed, including their allies from Aleppo, and they swam across a body of water, not much different than this, as far as you can see, not as big, but, body of water, significant size. They swam back across to the Hittite camp after losing and planning to ambush at Old Kadesh. And then you heard about Makakau losing the Koda, and I showed you the pictures of the statues of Bes. And we talked about how Africans and their Asiatic friends, most likely, founded that temple because they had common ground. So how tall are you, may I ask?
I'm 5'1".
All right. Are you offended when I point out the advantages of height in warfare?
No, but...
Can you see how men would be?
Yeah, totally.
And if you saw great warriors with physical prowess and agility, and white women, thought they were hot too, and you caught them gazing, okay, and you were police officers, and they say, "Hey, our cops can't protect us." You heard them talking like that. Those black guys are too agile and blah, blah, blah. You see them do that martial art? Okay, we should ban it, right? You starting to see what happened? How would you feel if you're them?
I'd feel really at odds because, now I have to prove my skill.
Can you see how this is related to that? Especially when I point out that the medical students carried Makakau on his shoulders, right? There was an argument in the medical community between the natural doctors kind of crowd, the capoeira kind of Rasta sort of kind of crowd, okay? Even before Bob Marley became popular, there was a kind of something related to reggae, right, going on, they're playing with different instruments, bows and drums. Anyway, and that's really what reggae comes from, not just the drum beat of war, but the Horus war art culture, what white people call martial arts, which is more specific to their twist of African arts. So do you see how, at the end of the day, we see that It is jealousy that causes them to drug me. And they have no possible justification other than we don't want black people to be more respected than they are, so we can keep them in their place. Gentrification, your genes determining your place. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Do you agree with what I said?
Yes, I can see the argument and I respect it.
Are there a lot of people in Santa Cruz for sale?
Today, yeah.
I mean, a lot of black people.
Oh, no.
All right. What, in your opinion, before talking to me, what is your impression about why that is?
I think it's just everything's based on a class system here, you know, and of course, anything that proves that they are better than any race is good for them because that's what they want people to see on a bigger picture, on a larger scale, you know what I mean? It's an inferior complex.
Do you know that in order for there to be proportionally the same amount of blacks in America as there are in Santa Cruz, there'd have to be more than 1 in every 10 people walking by would have to be black. And, you know, for them to be proportionate, right? Because we're about 13% of America. This is the type of place where Haitians and Dominicans, Cubans, Brazilians, a lot of blacks would want to live. A lot of blacks smoke weed. A lot of people like the beach. Okay? And they know that. There's also a lot of drunk people that drive around causing chaos. And so the reason why this is, and we're almost done, don't worry, it's feminism and feminist psychology, the gay agenda, the Age of Enlightenment philosophies, and what they were meant to do. They were never meant to elevate blacks to the level of whites, but rather reduce their harsh treatment in return for their support. You know, blacks were always like dogs that they breed and yell at. Rednecks yelling at their dogs. You know, they yell at blacks the same way. You know, and when their children misbehave, they beat them up a lot of times because they don't want them to behave in a way that is not consistent with their values. So when you consider that feminist psychologists are at least partially responsible, white feminist yuppie psychologists and their rich allies in Ivy League schools are at least partially responsible for the demographics of Santa Cruz. And that my mom is probably one of the top 100, we'll say, to be generous, most educated women in Northern California, at least, right? And she's a feminist. And she's immature. You saw that video with her, right?
Yes.
Can you see why I detest feminism?
Yes.
Even just that alone, not to mention breaking down the family so we're more easily controlled. Whenever the family's broken, we go to their institutions. They program us more intensely. And when you're at their institutions, you're following their rules, and the more you resist, the more you're blacklisted, and the more they program you intensely. You see what I'm saying? So in your honest opinion, do you think white feminists have black people's best interests in mind?
No.
Do you think I really care about who's taller or shorter, or I'm just doing God's work?
I think you're just doing God's work.
It's $100,000 to be paid within the next 7 years to those who can prove they're worth that much money, and $10,000 to everyone else. More than fair. I mean, is my challenge fair?
I think so, yeah.
So anyone who said otherwise is obviously trying to make their race look good.
Yes.
Can you see how that's a logical conclusion, not just mine or yours, not just a black person's conclusion? Imagine you're another race, right? Would you see it the same way?
Yeah.
Imagine if you're a racist white person who's being honest with their friends. Would you see it the same way?
If I was being honest, yes.
Okay, good. Thank you.